Okay, hello. My name is Sean Hickey, and you can call me Sean, and I'll be your therapist for today. Your name is?
Tina Jones.
Okay, Tina Jones. What name would you prefer me to call you?
Tina.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in, Tina. Thank you so much for coming in today, and I want to lay a couple of ground rules first before we start. Uh, First and foremost, our organization, as far as confidentiality is concerned, takes confidentiality very serious. And what confidentiality is what we talk about between me and you stays between me and you. Of course, there are some exceptions. One exception, of course, is if you talk about abuse toward the elderly, children, or the handicapped, then those things I have to report. Does that make sense? Also, if you talk about suicidal thoughts, then that's something that we can discuss between me and you here. But if you have suicidal thoughts and you have a plan, then I have to report that as well because your safety is our utmost importance. Likewise, if you mention or discuss anything about harming someone else, then I have a duty to warn and let that person know what your thoughts are, and also to talk to the law enforcement agency as well. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been a counselor before?
No.
Okay. Do you have any expectations?
No, this is my first time, so I really don't know what to expect.
Okay. Thanks for that honest assessment. There are some expectations and some things that we're going to do in this particular structure. First of all, normally this is going to be a little different. This time is going to be just a little bit different than normal. But normally what's going to happen in these sessions is we'll set the agenda. After we set the agenda and talk about some of your problems and concerns, I'll do a quick update to see what happened with you within our last section, which is normally about a week. We'll address the problem, the current problems. We'll add to that list if there's other problems that occurred during the last week. We'll do a mood check. Now, this mood check is something we're going to always do throughout therapy. And what I want you to keep in mind is that when I do a mood check, I'm trying to figure out where your thought process is or how you feel at a particular moment. And we will always use a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being you having no issues at all, and 10 meaning you are really, really having problems and you are to the max. So keep that in mind for further discussion. We're going to collaborate on some broad goals. We'll discuss the cognitive behavior therapy process and how that model works and how it's going to help work with some of the issues you're dealing with. We will review some homework. We'll summarize, or I'll summarize, and then at the end, I'm going to solicit some feedback from you. How does that sound?
That's good.
Okay, so to begin, your evaluation sheets that you filled out prior to you getting here states that your problem that you want to discuss is depression. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, in a few sentences, can you discuss the issue and some problems that you're having?
Well, okay. About 3 months ago, I was laid off from my job, and I've been applying for jobs, and I've even received interviews. But my problem is that I haven't been called back to get a job. So right now, I'm feeling as if I'm not good enough to get another job. I feel like I'm useless, and I just feel like a failure. Last week I had an interview, and I couldn't even get out the bed to go to the interview because I just feel like I'm being rejected, and I don't want to feel like I'm being rejected again. I keep laying around. I don't have any energy. I can't seem to concentrate or focus on anything. I never want to go out the house anymore.
Okay. You said a lot, and some of those things, I want you to understand that sometimes in sessions you'll see me writing. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but as you are talking about your problems and situations, I want to make sure that I capture those things So every now and then you're seeing me writing. Don't think I'm not listening or not paying attention. I just want to make sure I capture the most important things that you say so that we can come back and address them later. So what I hear you saying is that about 3 months ago you got laid off. You continued to apply for jobs and you continued to get interviews, but for some reason you wasn't getting hired and no one wanted to hire you. And because of that, you started feeling useless and as a failure. You thought you wasn't good enough, and you started feeling more lethargic, and you didn't want to hang out or socialize or do none of those things that you was doing before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right now I want to do a mood check. And we talked about mood checks before. And right now what I want to do is, you talked about an event that occurred last week that you had an interview.
Yes.
And so what I want to do is using that same mood check scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being you was really, really, really depressed, and 0 being you really wasn't depressed at all. What scale were you at that particular time on the day of that interview?
On the day of the interview, I would say I was 9.
Okay, 9. Okay, wow.
Yes.
So you was really feeling depressed that day.
Yes.
Okay, and what about now? How are you feeling right now at this particular moment?
Right now, I would say about a 6.
Okay, so you're saying that right now you feel that you're about a 6.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, your diagnosis is a depression, and the good news is, of course, it's treatable.
Okay.
And it's very treatable when you look at the ideal of you was at a 9. Now, with you being at a 9, what things would you like to change? Or what things would you have liked to have been different about that 9, or about the way you felt that day?
Well, I would like for my depression level to decrease. I'd also like to not have those feelings of the thoughts of being worthless. And I would like to be able to go out again and socialize with my friends, and then just to have energy to get up and go out.
Okay. So those are some great goals. You mentioned the idea that your depression level, you want it to decrease, that you want to be able to socialize again, that you want those negative thoughts and feelings of worthlessness to go away, and that you just really want to have more energy. And those are great goals, and we should be able to achieve some of those goals, and we will achieve some of those goals by using the cognitive behavior therapy. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, well, the cognitive behavior therapy states that it's a relationship between our thoughts, our feelings, and our behavior. So in other words, an activating event, which for you last week would have been the interview. When you had that interview, you had all these negative thoughts that came automatically. You probably didn't even realize it, but it just popped up in your head. You're useless. There's no sense in you getting up. They ain't going to hire you anyway. So ain't no sense in you getting dressed. You don't want to feel rejected no more. All these negative thoughts came in, and it produced a emotion or an action. And that emotion or action was just for you to just lay in the bed. What cognitive behavior therapy does is it challenges those negative thoughts to improve your emotions. And that's what cognitive therapy behavior is all about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, in order to assess your emotions throughout the week, what we need to do is give you some homework. And I know when we say homework, it can kind of be depressing at times. But this homework is going to be able to assist us in working on the goals that you've already expressed. And what it's called is an automatic thought record. So again, using that same example that we used before, last week when you had that interview, you had all those negative thoughts that go through your mind. Well, this week, if it should occur, then what I would want you to do is write those negative thoughts down, write down the situation or the event. Again, it was an interview last time.
Okay.
And then write down all those thoughts and feelings that you had based on that. And then when you come back in next week, we'll be able to review it and talk about it, and we'll be able to analyze those negative thoughts and figure out how real they are to you as opposed to when they're not real. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Sounds great. We only have a few minutes left with each other, and I would like to take time to summarize. So to begin, we identified your problem as being or having a moderate depression. I've asked you to rank your depression on a scale based on last week of 0 to 10, and you told me that number was 9, which is really high. We talked about what your number was today, and it was 6. We also talked about how you wanted your depression levels to be decreased. You want to be able to socialize more, that your feeling of being worthlessness, you want those thoughts, those negative thoughts to kind of go away. And then in the end, you want to eventually have more energy. We discussed the homework on automatic thought record process, and we want you to be able to participate in that. Does it sound like I got pretty much everything right?
Yes.
Okay, good, great. Just before we close, again, we're going to always try to solicit some feedback from you. Is there anything that we did or we talked about that you would want to improve, or anything you felt that we left out?
No.
Okay, well, good. Again, we're probably going to do somewhere between 8 to 10 sessions. We'll take it week by week. And in the end, hopefully we'll be able to improve or decrease your depression level.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.